Then I want to make sure that you're treated with respect.
I'm still talking about everybody else.
But you're looking at just one small part of this. I'm talking about a comprehensive rewrite of our immigration laws.
That's not true. If you did your homework on this issue, you would know that we should repeal this section.
Following the debate, Dan Rather asked on Twitter, who thinks Julian Castro had a breakout night? Castro himself responded, me. But he's not alone. What did he do to Beto?
Well, first of all, he stopped the momentum. So Beto, especially coming off of the midterm election, had gained a lot of momentum in Texas and across the country. He was this new, fresh face. He had a ton of money. But last night, he really stopped him in his tracks. Beto is not a good debater. We saw that with Ted Cruz, and we saw it again last night. Something's going to have to change for the next debate, or he's not going to survive much longer.
Fernand?
You know, I go back to something that Charlie said. What was so interesting for me, having seen so many of these Democratic primary debates over the years, it felt like Donald Trump was just another Republican president, not a president that is under the specter of impeachment. It could have been George W. Bush, George H.W. Bush, or even Ronald Reagan. And the fact that the Democrats didn't take the battle to Trump and really try and make this entire campaign a referendum on what seems to be, for most people, an abnormal presidency, I thought was a lost opportunity.
Jonathan, what's your take? A moment ago, Charlie was saying if Democrats go very progressive now, they'll be haunted by this in the general. How come Republicans don't face the same thing? Last night, Lindsey Graham tweeting, watching this debate, I'm thinking of a third term for President Trump. Well, it was 2 years ago, Lindsey Graham on Twitter saying that the president was a disgrace, called him a kook, said if Donald Trump got the Republican nomination, they'd get wiped out. That hasn't harmed him.
You know, it hasn't. Republicans don't have a primary right now. They are unified behind their president. What is it? 90% of Republicans approve of the job Donald Trump's doing, and they're not having that debate within their party. You just don't see, for the most part, these policy debates. You see it a little bit on the edges. The president wants to strike Iran, and then you see some pullback. But for the most part, they're not having those debates. The Democrats are running around, and like last night, for instance, you saw them moving so far to the left that they were walking in circles, right? Like they just kind of listing left and left until they got in circles. And they kind of have to do that, right? If you are Elizabeth Warren and you're going out there and telling people that you need to fundamentally...
Do they have to do that?
Well,
the Twitter Democrat would tell you, but the Democrats that won in the midterms would tell you something else.
It depends on who you are, but if you're Elizabeth Warren, you're out there saying you have to fundamentally restructure systems in order for working and middle-class people to get ahead, and then you go out there and go, well, Medicare for all, no, that's too much. Like, that's a problem. It's not within your message. And if you're trying to steal Bernie Sanders' people, which is basically what she's trying to do right now, how do you get through that primary where you go, you know what, I'm going to be light beer, I'm going to be, less filling and maybe taste great. It doesn't work. So I think she kind of had to go there. Whether that works in a general election or not is a big question. And that's what Trump is banking on. All those fights happened last night, with people moving to the left. And he's sitting there. I don't know if he's watching it on the way to Osaka, but he's sitting there, and his people are sitting...
watching it, tweeting that it was boring.
Right. His people are... He was tweeting it was boring whether or not he was watching it, right? But his people are sitting there thinking, please, please, please have more Democratic debates that look like this, because it's an opportunity for them to paint the Democrats as being out of touch. And when they don't talk about Trump, they are not contrasting with him in the ways that they should be to make the argument that he shouldn't be president.
Let me play devil's advocate here in terms of Trump not being the center of attention. If you're that bottom tier candidate, if you're not an Elizabeth Warren or you're trying to fight to stand out. So you want to muscle your way, you want to elbow your way against your other fellow Democrats and say, hey, here I am. We know Trump is a bad guy. We all agree Trump is a bad guy, but look at me. So I think that is one of the reasons why we didn't see Trump as much of a center of attention.
All right, lightning round. Who won? Who lost?
Big winner of the night, in my opinion, Elizabeth Warren. She came in expecting to have that campaign mojo she's developed over the last couple months. She leaves with that. Tough night for Beto O'Rourke. I thought he hurt himself last night.
Won, lost.
Julian won, Beto lost.
Charlie? I think you're going to go Trump won.
Yes, I am going to say that, and very reluctantly, because I think it's very important to defeat Donald Trump. But yes, he did because of this move to the left. Loser, no question about it. Beto, who I think is toast.
Yeah, I think Trump won, and it was only a question of who was going to take the kill shot on O'Rourke last night. It ended up being Castro, so a second W goes to Castro. Warren did pretty well too, but O'Rourke definitely the loser last night.
All right, then. Thank you all. Great conversation. Definitely made us smarter. Jonathan Allen, Fernand Amandi, thank you both. Charlie Sykes, Victoria DeFrancesco. I'm not letting you leave yet. You really have to go.